It's a really nice sunny day. It's a little bit windy, so I wanted to check that it's okay. And it seems like the vegetables that I have planted are struggling a little bit with the morning frost. There is still quite a lot of temperatures in the morning. Today I'm going to be working on cleaning up more, making space for digging out the soil that's currently the floor of what's going to be the kitchen. And I've learned so far that it really helps to keep the space clean, because as soon as it starts being chaotic and you have to move things twice from one place to another, it's just mentally exhausting. Yesterday I spent all day cleaning, and it feels so good because I can sit down here, look around, and I don't see anything that requires my urgent attention, therefore making space for something new to come, for the next step. And that's always exciting to get into the next step. I'm keeping all of the wood even though it's in very poor condition, because I've been really enjoying building all kinds of things out of it, and it doesn't, doesn't cost anything extra, and it's just fun, and it's also nice to recycle the wood. For now, I don't have any other to work with anyway, and this already has helped me to make a shed for the kitchen and the shower. We are right now in the food forest. I dedicated some space for compost, and behind it there's a movable chicken coop. And I really need to think of a gate. I would like to build this kind of magical forest, enchanted forest kind of a entrance to the food garden. The food garden has around 1.5 hectares. It's mostly steep land, and so far there is nothing growing here except for nothing growing in terms of like food forest, but there is a lot of small trees that will play its role when it comes to providing shade, storing moisture, storing water for other plants to thrive. So far I've planted only some seeds that I didn't want to compost, that instead of just throwing away, let's say seeds from paprika that I ate, things like this. And I don't know if it's going to grow, but it's really fun way of just like giving it a chance, and if it grows it would be very, very satisfying. But this pole over here, I think it might be good enough for the gate. It's certainly quite strong, but I think I'll have to put it 1 meter into the ground, and then the gate will be very small. I'll keep it on the side and I'll try it out later. This definitely doesn't look ready yet, but I think I'm not quite as happy with the result, although it's obviously something that we kind of like figure out on the way. I think maybe I need to weed in more of the branches, and it will look much better when the ground is level. Right now the ground, there's been water flowing and kind of making this little corridor. So whilst I'm digging out earth from the outside area of the house, I'll be bringing it here and filling this up. So at some point this will be nice and level, and here actually will be like the main path into the garden. At the moment definitely looks chaotic. There's another wing of the gate missing. I don't have more energy to do any more work today, but I think I'm going to catch up on this soon. I guess when working with sort of like recycled wood branches, it's really hard to figure out what the final result will be like. I'm sure that after having some rest and a fresh look, I'll be able to get a good idea how to finish this. It already feels kind of like it's closing something, like it's nice, like, and it's a big gate. So previously there was some barbed wire to protect from animals, from wild boars mainly. Ideally, at some point, I would like to clean this whole path here so that I can drive in with the car if I need to, which probably I will have to do, because I will probably need access to bring in some trees and plants that otherwise will be a lot of effort to bring. I'm also wondering what would be the best way to impregnate the wood. I'm not sure how long these branches will last before they start to rot, before they fall apart. I don't mind making that gate again and again and again, because it's like a playful process, but at the same time there's always something else to do. So it would be nice that it can stay here for at least 2-3 years. By then probably I'll have a much better idea for how that gate should be and look like, and probably also have more time once the house is finished, renovated, then I'll be able to play more. Meanwhile, I think it's important to balance all the heavy work, like carrying the wood that I had to do today, with something city, not so important, because at the end of the day I'm here to enjoy the process, to spend quality time, serenity. This is my favorite tool for going out into the wilderness. We are going for a walk around the area, around the mountain and the rivers. And I use it to make paths. I've tried machete, I tried a knife, but this, which I think is something that's traditional to northern Spain, is a really incredible tool for cutting things and making way, because you can sort of like pull as well as chop or just cut. So it's a very versatile weapon against the environment. I came here to have a look at another part of the property and inspect how is the forest doing. There is birch and pine and chestnut growing together, and it's also part of the idea to be able to harvest some of these trees, but in a sustainable manner. For example, when there is too many trees growing together and one of them will eventually fall, to kind of precede that moment and cut the tree and use it for construction. So that's going to be very challenging, because once a tree is cut, it also has to be processed at the location and then transported back. And again, we are dealing with steep land. I'm not sure yet how this will be done, perhaps with a quad or some small and strong vehicle. But it's really nice to see the diversity, sort of like more mature forest. You see there is not so many brambles growing, and that tells me that it's kind of like established. And over there I can see that there is pines that are already very, very tall and strong, so it's looking pretty good actually. I've just found some roof droppings. As you can see, they have a lot of hair. That's how you can recognize it. They were probably feeding on a horse or some other animal. Their poo is actually full of hair, as you can see here. And there is a lot of roofs around this area. There's one more to go. Yesterday I continued working on the gate and it's almost finished. I leveled the ground a little bit. It's good enough to come in and out with a wheelbarrow. I'm quite happy how it came out. It's definitely fits like this idea behind what's happening here. A place where I would like people to enjoy nature, feel inspired, and think a little bit outside of the box. Some place that inspires creativity, where some ridiculous things can happen that we don't really leave much space for in the busy world of every day. This also made me think a lot about how, you know, like when, like what we're doing, like how long does it last, and what is, how things can be very temporary or resist the trial of time. This is Johan. It's my neighbor's dog. I've been thinking to get an animal to uh, warn me of and protect the land from intruders. But at the same time, there's so many animals around, so many dogs visiting me, wild horses, and I'm not sure I actually need one. I always have somebody, some animal coming over and taking care of me. And Johan in particular comes here when there is wolves around. Somehow he can sense them. Maybe he can hear them, but he lives around kilometer away from here, so I think it's something else, like some other instinct that tells him that the wolves are around, and then he comes and protects me. I think it's an Irish Shepherd, and it's a herding dog. Hey, good boy, good boy. He really loves to cuddle, so which sometimes is annoying. Also, a herding dog means that makes a lot of noise, barks all the time. Hey, good boy. But also it means that he's really happy to be around people and animals. So I think since this is the first episode, it deserves some sort of an introduction. I am Mate. I've been traveling around the world, living in different places, and for the past years looking for an ideal place to live. Um, Last year I have arrived in Spain, in the northern Spain, and decided that this is it. This is the perfect place for me to live because of the tranquility and nature and abundance of water, which I think in um, which I think these days is such a scarce resource. And last 2 years, I've driven back and forth across Europe from Portugal all the way to Turkey, and then north, East Europe, to Poland, and then back to Germany and France, and here. And what I've seen is that pretty much everywhere, except for maybe some mountains in Romania. Uh, the rivers are drying out, lakes are drying out. There is very little space to find like real like nature, and I haven't I haven't looked into the Alps because for me it was important to find a place that's also nearby the ocean. In fact, where we are right now is just 20-minute drive from the ocean. I was very lucky to find a place after 6 months of searching, driving around. Um, I've seen 100 properties before deciding on this one, and to be honest, I was close to giving up, partially because of a myth of some amazing prices of properties that can be found here, whilst in fact at the end, like I think that I was very lucky. Like I almost gave up because I found another property that I almost bought, and then realized, after making the offer, the owner has realized that his granddaughter would like to keep it, and they canceled the deal. And finally, yeah, this really had a toll on me because I've already made plans on how I could use that property, um, and then luckily I found this place. So maybe to tell you a little bit about the place itself, there is an old house that needs complete renovation. It's only 60 years old. It's made out of stone. Uh, it has a roof in a decent shape. It's not really leaking, but it's also not insulated. The first floor needs complete renovation of the wooden floors, and I'll be working on that. Um, the ground floor is very low. It's in some places just 2 meter high or even less. And I will have to deepen the floors and then install some sort of like a concrete floor there, uh, install the whole electrical system. There is no electricity currently here. There is water that's coming from a spring, and so that's great. That's really like such a privilege, like to be able to open the tap and drink directly, and or even to have a shower in a spring water without smelling any chlor. So I have well, the house is around 180 square meters, so it's a pretty big house, but for the standard here, it's actually like quite small. I think it would take me probably 2 years to renovate it, and I'm very excited about this because I would love to make a place like like really nice and homey. The rest of the property consists of multiple plots of land. They are all situated along in one valley, and altogether they account for 14 hectares of mountains, rivers, pastures. So there is a massive potential for what can happen here. And I feel extremely lucky for having found this place, and I also feel like a place like this deserves that more people can enjoy it. So I'm thinking about both being able to host here people in some sort of like a glamping situation, as well as have volunteers coming over and working on different projects. And the projects consist of so far raising and keeping animals, growing vegetables, establishing a thriving food forest which is, if you're not familiar with this concept, is like a permaculture idea of growing like a bit messy, you know. It's not a monoculture, it's like the opposite of monoculture, like a system that mimics nature, that will eventually have fruit trees, regular trees, all sorts of bushes and vegetables growing together. And that part is around 1.5 hectare. I also would like to have some animals for meat, perhaps a cow, some goats. Goats can also help clean the land. And yeah, and so far I've spent here only 1.5 months. When I arrived, the house was overgrown. I have cleaned it. I have cleaned a lot of like all the mess that's been inside, and slowly preparing the grounds to start the actual renovation. I don't have a massive budget, so I have to work around like figuring stuff out, like how can I do it not in an expensive way. So that's why I also will be doing everything myself, because I can't really afford like extra labor. Currently the goals are to get going with the house, like to have a steady ongoing progress with the renovation, but also to start learning about growing vegetables. I have hardly any experience with that, so far I managed to plant some, and I'm watering them and hoping that there will be some results coming. And yeah, it's all about this like learning process, right? And then like step by step, like adding animals, and also like I think one of my biggest goals is to have somebody volunteer, or friends or people like start coming here and learning about this place, and providing feedback, as well as maybe contributing work, as well as spreading the word, and hopefully in a year or two this place can host 8 to 10 people at a time, sometimes maybe more, sometimes less, enjoying the nature, working together, working remotely, or meditating, or you know, rediscovering them like ourselves, like themselves.